In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Let us pray for peace, for justice, for the conversion of those who are doing so bad action. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus.
Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and in the hour of our death. Amen.
Mary, seat of wisdom.
Pray for us.
In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
So the program for tonight is first to see what we think about appetition and sensitive appetite. And probably we have time to begin the chapter on volition. Chapter on volition is very important. So if I see a little part tonight, I will have less to see next week. So we have more time to reflect on that subject. And next week also, very important is the human person. The notion of human person, very important in theology, in ethics, or social ethics. Okay, appetition. The word appetition comes from Latin ad peteri. Ad peteri. Peteri means to ask, ad ver. So we asking for something, we are tending for something. Appetition. You know what is appetite, huh? I don't have to explain appetite of ice cream, appetite of chocolate, appetite of beer, appetite of many kind of appetite, okay? So what is appetition? Appetition is the action of the appetite, action of the appetite. So apart from cognitive power, begins that possess knowledge also have powers that incline them to seek or to avoid the object with which their knowing powers put them into contact. So the fact is that we have appetite. We are tending towards something good. So you are thirsty, you play football, you play soccer, you play tennis, and you are thirsty. So you have an appetite for water or for Coca-Cola, you know. So yeah, in fact, what we study for intellection, it is the same for appetition. There is a subject or a power with a power. In that subject has produced an act. In that act, attain an object. Okay. That is the subject, act, object is the skeleton for all philosophy of man. All phenomenon can be summarized: subject, act, and object. Okay? So when appetition is the act of the appetite. So I have an appetite, a power. A power tending the object toward the good, some good. Some good. And the action, okay, the appetite acts only in presence of a good. It's funny, you are running in the morning and you don't think to drink a Coca-Cola, but suddenly you see a restaurant, Coca-Cola. What happened? You have an appetite, you are thirsty, but you run, you see, or when I be at home, but you see Coca-Cola, you see a good
Coca-Cola.
So what happened in you? So create a reaction we call appetition. So you react. And that good here is a good known. So if you don't know there is a good, you have no appetite. For example, do you have appetite for cortisol?
No.
No. But if you know cortisol, you will have appetite. It's a very good fruit. One of the best I ate in Africa. So,
I'm sorry. So if we only know that thing is good, we have the appetition?
Yeah, we tend our appetition, our intellect or our senses tend to an object. That object was either the truth or was something of the external world. Want to know. So the intellect as a act intellection knows when there is an object. I cannot know something that does exist. Okay? I cannot. So, but that thing I know here, I can see in it some good. You are running, and you see a restaurant with a sign Coca-Cola, refreshing, the best for thirst. You see that. Why do you have a petition? Because you know there is a good. So it's interesting to see that a petition goes with knowledge. No? Goes with knowledge. If you don't know, you have no appetition. So, next paragraph. Appetition in a generic sense, in a common sense, comes from appetite, and Latin appetitus, that means tend to strive for, to tend towards something, to tend a petition. You know what is a petition? So, a petition, that means to petition for something, tending towards some good. So appetite is the generic name for powers, powers, other words for powers, faculty, faculty, our faculties, our powers, intellect, the will, our sense knowledge, etc., our senses. So inclining being to attain their object. So appetite means a seeking for something. A seeking, searching for something. Or if you want, tendency toward something. That is appetite. I have an appetite for hamburger, I go to McDonald's. I have an appetite for rice, I go to a Vietnamese restaurant. So the appetite is that tendency. It is the power we have to tend toward a good. No, that is the essential. All the rest I will explain to you are based on that. Yeah. If there is no knowledge, there is no good, there is no appetition. That means the faculty, the power will be only in potence. They are potencies. They are potencies, they are faculties, they are powers. Okay? And the power is acting only if there is an object. In the case of the appetite, the object is presented to the appetite through knowledge. It can be sense knowledge, it can be intellectual knowledge. For example, you are in the chapel, and suddenly it is the summer, and a good odor comes from the refectory, enter the chapel. You are contemplating the Blessed Sacrament, and suddenly you smell hamburger, French fry. Oh Lord, I like you. But at the same time, your senses, so they provoke in you an appetite. And that is the secret of advertising. All advertising is based on that. All publicity. We make people know an object that is good. We put that on there every 3 minutes. Every 3 minutes. Hey, that's the best. That is the best. That is the best card. And the people say, oh, maybe for me it's a good thing. And that provokes a kind of appetite. And when you go to the store, then you buy that. Yes, brother.
Or like we have in Guatemala for Christmas dinner, there need to be Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola.
Because Coca-Cola, Christmas. We have that.
Good. Interesting. You know, I will give an example, as it is very true, that knowledge provokes the desire. My brother had two daughters, and when they were about 4 years old, 6 years old, he went to the supermarket to buy cereals. And you know, some company, they produce, they have their own boxes of cereal without gadgets, only cereals, wheat, rice, etc. Of course, they are less expensive. That's why my brother take that, he put that in the cart. my little nieces, she said, Dad, we will not eat those cereals. My brother was 6 feet. See, why? Because they are not advertised on television. 6 years old. And the power, and today, 50 years ago, the majority of the news, the advertising was directed for women. Most of the time it was for women. But after, now it's for children. Many are for children. Because they will lead their father, their mother to the supermarket and they will buy, you know. And not everyone, but a lot, huh? Okay. Well, I come back to the text here. Father Wollner gave you a definition. Huh? You see, a form of special, especially a power that has an inclination, another word, appetite, inclination, attraction, tendency, inclination, attraction, tendency. All words expressing the same thing as appetite, you know. Okay? So I continue. Tower an object suitable to itself or away from unsuitable object. That means something suitable, something good, something useful for me. Now, in the strict sense, appetite designates the capacity. What is that? The capacity. It is the same thing as the power. Power, faculties, competencies, and capacities. You know, we use 4 words to designate the same thing. It's interesting to know those synonyms. You know? Sometimes they will speak about power, sometimes they will speak about tendency, sometimes faculty, sometimes capacity. Be attentive to learn the synonyms. Otherwise, you have only one term and you don't understand when you use other words meaning, having the same meaning. Okay, so, to seek, a capacity to seek it's good, and to avoid what is contrary to that good. So, capacity of seeking a good and avoiding what is contrary to the good. That is generic. We see that in every appetite. Irascible appetite, concupiscible appetite, intellective appetite. It is always that. We are tending toward the good, and we are avoiding what is contrary to that good. Okay?
Father,
Yes.
can we apply this one for the moralities? And for example, like we need to do good and avoid evil.
Yeah, exactly. But here, what is interesting, here we don't speak about morality. But what we study tonight, what we study in the next class, are the foundation of ethics. And you cannot study ethics without knowing that. But we study tonight and next week. They are really the foundation. In fact, a philosophy of man is the foundation of general and social ethics, both. Okay? Okay, I go now to Father Wollner is the same thing. Father Wollner is a movement of the faculty to its good. The faculty, he used the word faculty, other capacity, another potency, another power. You know? Okay. I insist on that. Be familiar with synonyms. So if I speak about power, it is the same thing if I speak about capacity, about potency, about
Tendency.
power. Okay. So, in a more broadly, appetite includes appetition. That means sometimes we take the power for the action. I don't insist on that. But just after that, therefore, appetite means 2 things. Sometimes means the fundamental power to seek, the power to seek. That means the capacity, the faculty, the potency. That is the first meaning. I will say that the most important meaning is that. But sometimes it also means the actual exercise of the power. That means appetition. Sometimes appetite is used as the word application. But most of the time, I think it is to use as a fundamental power to think, the faculty. Okay? And reserve the word appetition. Appetite is the power. Appetition is the action of tending toward the good. So you have the subject, the verb, and the object. Sense knowledge, you remember, sense knowledge and textual knowledge, everything is based on that part of subject, act, object. Okay? Now, 26.1.4. So, relation of appetite with other concepts. So, it is closely related to a number of other psychological concepts, such as orexis. No, I will just after that explain. Conation, in English, you know that, effort. Huh? Huge. Drive. Sometimes we call appetite drives. Huh? Emotion, affectivity, passion. So we speak about those terms tonight. Huh? I will explain that. But the word orexis is a Greek word. Huh? It's a transliteration of the Greek, sometimes signifying appetite in general, and other times the power of the will. But orexic is linked with anorexia. You know what is anorexia? Huh?
Yeah.
So some have no more appetite. In fact, anorexia, what is that? It is orexis, orexis, appetite, and without. Without appetite, anorexia. Anorexia, it's a disease. You have that. Okay, I go now to. Okay, now we will study the different kind of appetite we have. So I will. Okay, let us go first to page 178. Conation, it is the inclination. Okay, see that? It's another word. Inclination, appetite, inclination. We said that here, inclination. Craving, a craving for something, a craving. A drive, urge, an impulse, etc. So many words to designate. But in scholastic philosophy, they call that concupiscible appetite, irascible appetite. But in modern, sometimes they don't use the word appetite. They use the word drive. Drive. Many times they say that, drive. I am pushed by inclination. Okay? I continue. So, a word we have to speak, it is about the word feeling. Well, feeling and affectivity. Well, affectivity is, I would say, the general word, the genus if you want. Anyway, I will come back on that because I gave you a page completely about that. So you have affectivity. Every emotion we have, every feeling, every passion, every appetite is a part, belong to activity, affectivity. But in affectivity is a genus, so you have feeling, you have emotion, and you have passion. And that is the subject we have to try to tonight we speak about that also, affectivity. For the moment, I don't want to insist on that. But are generally used to indicate the felt quality connected with appetitive activity. Frequently including both the feeling and driving aspect. In fact, when we speak about affectivity, we will speak about either feeling, either emotion, either passion. And when we speak about emotion and passion and feeling also, we speak indirectly or directly about appetition, appetite. I have emotion because I have some appetite. I satisfy my appetite, I am joyful, for example. I don't succeed, I am sad. We'll come back on that. So the division of appetite. Oh yes, I would say a word of fear. Father Wilner here. You have that here, Father Wilner. Feeling. Say, it is an affective, affective that may change something in my person, my body, affective. Sensory activity that involves no intellectual activity. That means we don't know the cause of our feeling. You know, you wake up in the morning, we say, oh, I don't feel well. I don't know. You don't know the cause, but you feel that something is not correct. I feel I'm sick. I don't know what happened tonight. This morning I'm not well. You know, that is a feeling. When we know the cause, it's an emotion. So a feeling is vague. Emotion is precise. And passion is a very strong emotion. In fact, three are affecting the affectivity. One is we don't know the cause. The other, we know the cause, but the difference is their intensity. Intensity. Emotion, we continue to keep our mind. Passion, it can arrive that sometimes it is emotion, but very strong emotion. Okay? So affectivity is the whole of thing relating to a feeling, to emotion, to passion. All that is called affectivity. Is called affectivity. It's the domain of affectivity. So appetition, sense appetition, be careful, sense appetition is the domain of affectivity. The will is not affectivity. The will is intellective. That and affect. And in a few minutes I will explain how my emotions are affected, how that happen, that I have emotion. Now division. So the division, we have sensitive or sense appetite and intellective appetite. Here, do a parallel with the knowledge. We have sense knowledge and we have intellective knowledge. So we have sense appetite and we have intellective appetite. Okay? So the appetite can be divided in sensory appetite. What is an appetite? Is a tendency, inclination toward the good. Well, the good can be sensible. We have sensory appetite. It can be also non-material, spiritual. It is the intellective appetite. Appetite. Called the will. So the will is the intellectual appetite. Here we have sensory appetite. In sensory appetite we distinguish two kinds of sensory appetite. When it is toward the pleasant and the good, because an appetite is determined by the object, no? So if the object is pleasant, is good as pleasant, I like that, an orange, an apple, a good movie, etc. We call that concupiscible. Well, that is a scholastic term. I will give you after the other terms. So, or tending toward what? Tending something pleasant. A pleasant good. Pleasure here, a pleasure. Pleasure, concupiscence. Toward the and we have also, because sometimes to attain something pleasant, something good, we have to fight. You have to come back. You have to make effort. And that makes us angry. If we call that irascible appetite. The word ira, anger. Anger. That means you have an obstacle and now you are furious from the obstacle. You know? The story of the triangle, you know, the perpetual Hollywoodian triangle. One man for two women, or one woman for two men. That is the summary of 95% of movies in Hollywood. No? And here, see, but he is furious. Huh? So there is fight, no? Jealousy, fight. We can explain a lot of movies using the triangle. Huh? We call in French le triangle amoureux, and the loving triangle. Huh? The loving triangle. Sometimes it's not loving. It's detesting, hatred.
David knows about it.
Huh? It's not only for love, it is also for ambition. Huh? You have to become the president of the United States, and we have one Democrat and one Republican. So we have one function for two persons, so there is a fight. No? It's a lot of things we can explain that. A lot. Yes, brother.
What about the eunuch?
The
Eunuch.
Eunuch.
eunuch. Eunuch. They have the other problem. The other ambition. Other ambition, okay? I hope I don't scandalize you
Please, what
with
do
the
you guys
triangle. Yes, sister.
that column of sensible competitions and the other one down.
Here,
Anger.
anger,
The one up before
Intellectual
on top of
intellective
appetite.
appetite. Intellective appetite.
and on top of anger.
Anger.
On top of anger.
Irrational.
Irascible.
Okay.
Irascible.
Okay.
Ira in Latin means anger. Huh? Okay? Ira. You have a song in Latin, people sing without understanding. Dies irae, dies illa. They of anger. Dies irae. Huh? Irae, ira. They of anger. Dies illa.
Rabia.
Sometimes I think it's better not to do the translation.
Rabia.
I think that it's not a hymn to sing during the year of mercy. Because when you sing that, you shake. Huh? You shake. When you understand the word, of course. So, that irascible, it is against what is arduous. Here is a pleasant good. Here is an arduous good. So something difficult, because it is difficult, but we have to make some fight, some struggle, some effort to persevere. But it's interesting to see that the irascible appetite is at the service of the concupiscible appetite. In fact, if I am angry here, if I fight, is to attain the concupiscible appetite. Okay? So the appetite means the power tending toward the good. And here I will say something, I think, interesting for your future. We saw before that there is intellect in knowledge, and the knowledge can be sensitive, with sense, knowledge, sensitive, or intellectual. You remember that, huh? Okay? Now look at that. To will or to tend power, you have the subject, the power, huh? The power. Because the subject acts through powers, many powers, huh? Intellect, irascible appetite, concupiscible appetite, the will, etc. Well, the power acts to attain an object, a good, okay? But the power must be developed. For example, you have the power to write. You have that power when you begin to go to school, when you were 6 years old, 5 years old, you acquire the capacity of writing, the power, not the power, you have the power, but the ability of writing. That it is something added to your power, and that we call that habit. Habit, abilities. Ability. For example, you have fingers. Your finger can play the piano, can play the guitar, can play the trumpet, can play many things, clarinet. So if you want to play the clarinet, you have to give to finger a fingering different from the piano. So your finger must acquire a habit, the habit of playing the piano. When you were in the first grade, you acquire the habit of writing. It's a habit. When you learn Spanish, you learn English, you learn a language, you acquire the habit of talking, speaking that language. That means that the power, it is an ability added to the power. I give you an example. You have a tractor. Okay? Have a tractor. A tractor is a power, but if you want to clean the street from snow, what you will do? You will put a plow in front, no?
Yeah.
So that the snow will disappear. If you want to make furrow, you will install, how do you call that?
Blades.
Blade, to create. If you want to cut grass, you put a mowing. So what you do? You give to your tractor some
Instrument.
structure, some structure, instrument structure. Is there is enough for the Reichman called a habit, acquire structure, operational structure. Operational structure. It is a structure you give to your power. For example, you study logic. So you acquire a structure given to your intellect to be able to study syllogism. Your brother did not study that. He cannot study syllogism. He cannot analyze because he doesn't know. A doctor studied medicine. He acquire a structure. A structure to do something, operational, to do something. And that is acquired, is not innate. You have to acquire that. So now, look at appetite. An appetite is a power. My appetite tends toward an object. Okay, let us speak about the concupiscible appetite. How I can act well in my tendency toward the concupiscible appetite when I acquire a virtue, because the habits are also the virtues. Intellectual virtues, moral virtues. And that virtue is temperance. So temperance perfect my concupiscible appetite. Temperance perfects my concupiscible appetite. I can control my appetite. I am very, I desire to eat big hamburger, but you know, my doctors say no more hamburger. You know, so I can control. Or instead of taking 2 big glasses of wine, I will take only half a glass, you know. Temperance. Now I have also a power we call irascible appetite. That means I can fight, but I must be controlled. I can go too much, not enough. You know, virtue is in the middle. What is that virtue? It is fortitude. Fortitude that give me courage, give me perseverance, etc. So fortitude, virtue of fortitude. Now my will is tending toward the good, the universal good. And what is the good? The good is the good of others. In fact, I am in relation with others. The will is controlling, if you want, my relation with others. because in fact the object is other. Huh? It can be a material object, a car. It can be an animal. It can be a person. It can be aussi God. That means my will ask me to give each one what is due. That is the virtue of justice. So the virtue of justice perfect my will. Give to my will that habit of giving each one what is due. Giving to nature the respect I have for nature. Giving to others what I have to give them. Justice, giving to God what I have to give to God. Religion. That is justice. And finally, how I can arrive to do that, I must use some light. You know, I give you an analogy. A day, when I was a brother, we were going in car. We were about 5 brothers in the big car. It was at night in the field. No light, nothing, absolutely nothing. And suddenly, the light stopped functioning. No more light. So we were going at 60 miles per hour. Happily, it was a straight line. Otherwise, I would not be here today. So, you know, we have a power, mother, very powerful. No light. So, what is the light? Enlightening, temperance, fortitude, and justice. The light. What gives light to my action?
Intellect.
My intellect. What is the virtue perfecting my intellect in regard of action? It is the virtue of prudence. And that is what I teach you. It is ethic.
Yes. 4 pillars of
Ethic.
ethics.
That means I teach the same thing as Father Brian Marity.
Yes.
Well, don't tell him. You know, interesting to see the connection between philosophy of man and ethic. The reason I told you it's very important because here we have the foundation. Everything we see last week and this week and next week, it is at the same time philosophy of man, also the foundation of fundamental ethic, general ethic. Okay? Well, I come back now. So we have concupiscible appetite, irascible appetite. Concupiscible for the good. It is controlled by temperance, the pleasant. Here it is the arduous, the difficult, controlled by fortitude. And my virtue of justice, to give each one is due, is controlled, my will is controlled by justice. And finally, all that is illuminated, enlightened by the virtue of prudence. What is interesting, if you go to the Old Testament, it's a very rare we call a man a saint. Only God is saint, holy. But when we speak about a holy man, what they say? Justus and prudence. Just and prudent. Just and prudent. And justice in the Old Testament is the equivalent of holiness. When I say God is just, not only He gives each one his due, but He is holy. Because to be a holy man, you must practice justice and prudence. So, for example, in the time we sang in Latin, we say Saint Joseph was a vir,
Righteous man.
justus, and prudence.
Oh, just the prudence.
A man, a vir, a man, vir, virtus, not homo. Homo is the general. A vir is a man, but a strong man, you know. And you have the word vir, and you have the word vis in Latin. And this in Latin means violence. That means a man able to fight. A vir. We never say a boy is a vir. We say a man is a vir. A boy is a puer in Latin. And puer means slave. Puer natus in Bethlehem, alleluia. Puer means slave. Because before the age of 12, a child has no civil right. He's like a slave. He becomes an adult at 12, you know. Okay, so now, many, I find that chapter very interesting because apparently it does not seem very, very important, but it's important. Okay, I go back to page 178. So we have natural appetite and elicited appetite. Those appetite we saw, prudence, irascible, concupiscible, or universal good, the good, general good. It can be natural or elicited. But natural appetite, or if you want, innate appetite. So we have, for example, my intellect has an innate appetite for truth. My will has an innate appetite for the good. My senses, my sense appetite has an innate appetite for pleasure, what is pleasing, and my irascible appetite has a natural tendency toward fight, to attain something. Okay. In fact, we share, except the intellect, we share that with animals. But animals, they are not temperament. They are temperament because they follow their instinct. They cannot eat more than they can. Okay? So, such a natural appetite is not conceived as a reality, the thing distinct from its nature. Appetite is rather the nature itself conceived in terms of tendency to be and to operate. That means, what is the concept of nature? Remember nature. We saw quiddity, we saw essence, we saw nature, and we saw substance. You remember that? It is always, if I speak about man, always rational animal. That is the level of logic definition. That is the level of metaphysics linked with existence. Man, rational animal, but receiving existence is essence. It's not existent by himself. Now, if I say, now, this essence of man as principle of activity, that is the principle, the cause of his activity, that is nature. Nature is the essence as principle of activity. And finally, my substance is my I, a subject of the 9 categories. You remember the categories?
Yes.
Predicament,
Predicaments.
the mode of being put into the subject, the substance. Okay. So I have natural tendency. I can see the 3 appetite we saw: sense appetite, concupiscible, irascible, and intellective appetite, the will. They are natural appetite. Okay. Now we call elicited appetite. Well, elicited means to elicit is to make something gush. You know, for example, Moses with his stick, he knocked the rock and water gush. So that is not natural. Okay? It is opposed to innate appetite. So they are the appetite aroused by cognitive acts, and they are considered to be distinct part of powers of a nature of cognitive being. That means, okay, I have a tendency toward the good. That is natural. We see that just after I will take a certain time to explain freedom. We have a natural tendency toward the good. That is natural. But it is elicited when I say I want to drink Coca-Cola. It is coming from,
Inside.
not from my nature, but from my will. We call that elicited. Elicited, it are the acts coming from myself, gushing from my will, if you want. I knock my will. That means, of course, they can be attached to a natural appetite. For example, I am thirsty. That is a natural appetite. But to be thirsty for Coca-Cola or to be thirsty for beer, that is elicited appetite. There is no man on earth has a natural appetite for Coca-Cola. No man. No, nobody.
Only for water?
Or water, but because that's natural. Huh? Water. But we have a elicited appetite for Coca-Cola because we know the existence of a medication for pregnant women we call Coca-Cola. Because originally it was that. Huh? In fact, it's a medication for pregnant women to give them energy. And now men use that for energy. It's interesting to see the origin of Coca-Cola. Very interesting. I saw a movie 2 hours about that. But very, very, very interesting. How a little pharmacist, Atlanta, who prepare a potion, a kind of tonic for women, and the husband drank that. He said, "Hey, that is good." Finally, many men wanted to have that, and they added gas, soda, and they had the success they have in the oil world. You do everywhere. You have Coca-Cola. Okay, so nature, the appetite are okay. That means they must provoke by an object. Spontaneously, I will not go toward Pepsi or toward Orangina or toward ice cream. No, I will go to that because I know that. But I will have a tendency toward something to drink. That is natural. In natural, the most natural product to drink is water. And after that, milk, because every human being begin to drink milk before water.
That's right.
No? It's important for the formation of your bone. Okay. So I go to next page. So the existence of elicited appetite. In fact, I start from a fact. It is a fact. We know by experience. We tend toward something because we are attracted, or we want to avoid something because we have a feeling of repulsion. For example, when Saint Francis of Assisi met a leper, the first reaction he had was a reaction of repulsion. Because a leper, but he reacted and elicited that, he kissed the leper. So that is a good example to make the difference between natural appetite and elicited appetite. Naturally, he had repulsion for the leper. For him, it was a danger, it was something not good. His good was to keep his health and not be contaminated by the leper. That at least natural. But elicited by his will, he took the leper and he embraced the leper and he take care of him, he washed his feet, etc. Okay? So the existence is a fact. Secondly, when you see also animal, even animal, they have elicited appetite. Because for example, your cat is very quiet. Suddenly he smell or he listen to a mouse. And now he jump and, he comes from himself, The cat has a we will see, has a natural tendency toward mice, of course. So animals seem to act the same way. They are endowed with the same kind of organ to serve man. That means we have a natural tendency. For example, the cat has a natural tendency to eat. He must eat. But when he sees something particular, that he jumps on it because he sees that as a particular good. But in fact, if I take a decision toward a good, illicit, like Saint Francis, who like the cat jump, it is because first I have some tendency, natural appetite. Or you will say Saint Francis has no natural appetite, but he was a supernatural appetite. Huh? And we see that freedom. Huh? He was able to control, that's a good example, to control his intellectual appetite as the power to control his sense appetite. As you do when you fast, for example, a day, you are very interesting to eat hamburger, but it is Good Friday. Say tomorrow, okay? So definition. It is a capacity, elicited appetite, of knowing beings to be moved by what something as known. So the cat jump on the mouse because he sees the cat, he sees the mouse, and we are doing thing because we see in the thing we do something good. If Saint Francis kissed the leper because he saw in that something good, otherwise he will not have done that. Okay. So the division. So the basic division is first sensitive appetite, I explained that, and intellectual appetite, and the will, I explained that. So let us go now to sensitive appetite. A sensitive appetite is a capacity to be aroused by a concrete object. That means a material, sensible object. A material and sensible object. Of course, material implies sensible. A material object or a sensible object. That is it is the first level. The first level. Okay. It is the passive aspect of sensitive appetite, to be moved by a sensible object. In fact, what we study for the intellect, for the sense knowledge, exactly the same thing. The subject can act only if attain an object. That means my knowledge is objective, my appetite also are objective. I will not tend toward nothing. Is the reason why Buddhism, for me, is irrational. We tend to nothing, except if you consider nothing as something good. But nothing is nothing, you know. Can we will nothing? No. Nothing is nothing. The absence of. Okay. Continue. So the action of the object, will have influence on the subject. So the action of the object on senses provoke a reaction. So I see an object here, and I react, and my reaction is appetition. I see, I know. The object, the form of the object comes to me, and I react. Action, reaction. We can say the appetite is a reaction to a good known. I know something good, and I react. I am attracted, or I am repulsed. Repulsion. Attraction or repulsion. Okay. So action of the object of senses and reaction. In the next paragraph, the two moments of the reaction of the sensitive appetite. First, it is passivity. Passivity, because in fact the object is entering the mind of the or the sense knowledge of the subject, and that sense that passivity will be transformed into activity, into inclination to action. I know, for example, a car is coming in front of me. I see the danger. What happened? I will jump outside the road, you know. So action, reaction. And when I tend toward some good, either taking the good for me or avoiding a danger, that is reaction, action, reaction. Activity, passivity, and activity. My power is active only when it is moved, it is informed by my intellect or by my senses. French potatoes or a good steak, I smell that, I react. It's exactly what the animal do. My dog did that. He smelled something coming from the kitchen. Good for me. And he looked, he saw that the cook was not there. So what he did, he satisfied his appetite. And when we arrived to eat, there was no more eating. Everything was in the belly of our dog. Action, reaction. Okay? The difference, my dog cannot control himself. We can control because we are free. The subject next one. Freedom is attached to intellective appetite. Okay, so the number 27. Okay, why we have appetite? To attain some good or to avoid some displeasing things, some objects that are not good for us. Huh? So two dimensions. In fact, in every good appearing to you at the same time, you can see what is not good in regard of that good. Understand? For example, you are the owner of a car. For you to keep your car without being broken, etc., is a good. Because it is a good for you, what you will do? Now you will fight against those who can attack your car or can demolish your car. You put an alarm, you would maybe put a special device to impede them to take to use them. Huh? So every good implies some opposition. We see that soon. Huh? Every good is opposed to some evil. That means the absence of that good. Okay, we'll see that. Now the effect of sensitive appetite. Well, the effect. So here I will go to, I give you a chart. It's here. 120. 181B. 181B. Here, okay? You have that here, okay? That page. No, I have that page because I will work on that, and after I will come back to that.
185.
Is that the same page? Oh, what page you have?
180.
180.
Dash 5.
180.
188.
5.
5.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Yeah.
you don't have the same edition as we have. Okay, so we try to understand what is emotion. In fact, in emotion there is three components. Huh? And I will use a triangle to explain that. Saint Patrick use a triangle, I use a triangle also. Okay, so we have to know what is an emotion. An emotion is like a triangle, trisome. That means there are three components of every emotion. Well, the first component is knowledge, awareness. Awareness, knowledge. I am aware of a good or an evil, knowledge. Okay? It can come from my senses, it can come also from my intellect. Okay? So, I have a knowledge of a danger. I give you an example. In Cameroon, there was a nurse, a sister, a day when she woke up, she felt there was something between her feet. It was a snake. So during the night, the snake entered a room. I don't know why. He climbed, he entered the room, and he found he was very well. Between the sister was sleeping, and it was not a dog, it was not a cat, it was a snake. Very quiet. He was so happy between the feet of the sister. The sister slept very well. But when she woke up,
She was aware.
she was aware. And now she began to have emotion. But she was very prudent. She did not
Move.
She did not move. And finally, after a certain time, the snake went out the room and disappeared. You know? So, as long as she did not know there was a snake, she was not afraid. I was teaching my first year, the first month I was in Cameroon, 1971. I was teaching science, physics, and chemistry. I had my white coat, you know, and maybe 22, 23 seminarian in my class. It was on the first floor, and windows are on the side. I began to teach. Suddenly, a seminarian cried, "Serpent, snake!" In 2 seconds, I was alone in the class. Everybody jumped to the windows, to the door. I was alone. I never saw people going so fast outside. They knew there was a snake. Because there was a snake, they reacted. You know, and they were more afraid than I. So they came back with stick. In fact, there was a snake in the desk, very well. You know? He was following my class of physics. So I went. So when I know a danger, what happened?
Yeah.
The heart, goosebumps, huh? We became red, we become red, we become white, we shake, etc. They call that somatic. Huh? Somatic and transformation. Goosebump, huh? But we have no somatic transformation as long as we don't know. But I give you an example. Okay. A day there was a snake, a little snake. We have a door, and instead of having a lock like that, we have a long bar. You know, and we tip the bar, push the bar along the bar. Okay? So the snake was here. Yes, little snake. He was around the bar, black snake. So of course I went to see the cook, etc. The cook came with the bar, but they were afraid. But at that time there was a brother, a Christian brother from Douala, and that brother was specialized in the study of snakes. So he knew exactly how to take a snake in his hand without being injured. There was a method for that. So he arrived, he took the snake, but he had the snake, no problem, because he collected snake. I was in his laboratory, bottle, snake everywhere. So, but the people were terrified. That brother was not terrified. The other were terrified. Why? Why they were terrified? The brother was not terrified. Because the brother said for him there was no danger, for the other was a danger. The danger of being bitten by the snake. Huh? So that we are afraid because we see some good. It is the aspect of good that make us have emotion. I give you another example. You walk on the street and you pass in front of a garage dealer, beautiful Mercedes-Benz. Well, you say, oh, beautiful. But suppose you want to buy a Mercedes. It's exactly what I want. Why? Because you see there a good for you. When I see a good for me, I have some emotion. If I see a evil for, I have emotion also. You know? Why the sister have no emotion? Because she was not aware of the danger. When she was aware of the danger, of course. So the third aspect is we call the affective response. In fact, it is, on the formal aspect, it is the attraction or the repulsion toward the good. So here, interesting. We have knowledge. We have here the aspect of good, because there is no affection, no emotion without knowledge, and also knowledge of a thing as good or evil. and that provoke a reaction. Down here we can say that is the effect. Huh? It is the effect, the material aspect, the effect. That is why I have a goosebump, because I see a danger. Oh, I am very happy, I smile, I jump, I am very happy because I am joyful, you know. I smile. Emotion, yes, smiling is an emotion because there is something good, okay? So here you see the three components of every emotion. In the text on page 180, it will explain those things. And the physical change, somatic change, number 27.2.1, physical changes in organism. There is no emotion if there is no somatic. Emotion might imply a change of cardiac rhythm, a change of color, etc. Secondly, emotion are the result of the awareness. If I am not aware of a danger or a good thing, I have no emotion. Okay? And finally, so the first element, knowledge. Okay, I explained that. If you go to the next page, page 181. Second, the physical change, the physiological modification, or somatic, soma means the body, soma in Greek, somatic modification. And finally, that is the material aspect. And finally, the principle, the formal, that is the material here. Of course, it is what we see, but the formal, it is the good to attain, or the evil to avoid. It is the principle, the formal element is the first, is the appetite itself. In fact, the appetite is here. But the appetite function if there is some knowledge, and the effects of the appetite is somatic change. Somatic change. So I already explained the classification of appetite. We saw that. Concupiscible appetite, I explained that. We see also irascible appetite. I explained that, okay? I will not come back on that. Irascible appetite. You have stuff on page 182. And finally, we have the division of emotion. We have 6, here they give 6 emotions found in the concupiscible appetite. So when, in fact, fundamentally, what is the action? We can summarize all concupiscible appetite by the word love. I love, or like. In English, it's better than French, because in English we have the verb to like and the verb to love. But in Latin, in French, in Italian, in Spanish, we have only one word for that. You know? I mean, I love chocolate, I love my mother. In English, I like chocolate, I love my mother. At that point of view, English is more precise than French, for a little exception. So here, you know, love is the first impulse emotion. In fact, it is the fundamental reaction. Why I react? Because I love the good here. Or I react because I detest the obstacle. I detest the danger, you know. It's dangerous for me. I love because it is pleasant to me. Okay. The second is the desire, which arises from love. So I love something, I am tending towards something, and that I desire it. We see that when we study the analysis of St. Thomas. We know something, and that knowledge provokes a desire. I told you before, it is the secret of advertising. You must provoke love, and the love of a thing that provoke in you the desire for that thing. And when we have the desire for the thing, and now after that you can. But there must be the distinction between three words we use many times. The word tendency, the word need, and the word desire. For example, you say, I desire Coca-Cola. I desire to become a saint. I desire to become a priest. I desire that Joe Blow will be elected representative, etc. You know. So many times you have to precise what is the word, a tendency, a need, and a desire. The tendency, need, and okay. I think it's time to take a break, and I will write something on the board during that time. Have a good recreation.